Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Patrick Baker. I'm the President of Constructive Solutions. I appreciate you joining us today for an overview of Sage My Assistant suite of applications. We're very fortunate today to be joined by Dennis Earnshaw. Dennis is the President and founder of Innovative Software Design, who initially developed the software for Sage and continues to enhance that product. Prior to Dennis rolling out and starting Innovative Software, he worked for Sage for 20+ years and was one of the main architects for the Sage 300 Timberline core project accounting and project management application. So he's very well versed on the core offering, and I believe My Assistant was always a vision that he had. To add into the Sage portfolio, never got a chance to while with Sage. So without further ado, I'm going to make Dennis the presenter, and make Dennis view 5, verify. So we're going to make Dennis the presenter. He can share his screen, which he's just done. Now I can see it, and I'll leave the presentation to Dennis. Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you folks today. I like to have a rather informal session, so as I go through My Assistant today, please interrupt me at any point and ask questions, or I'll do my best to monitor the chat log. It's kind of difficult to see that.
I'll keep an eye on it for you.
Okay, and just interrupt me, Patrick, anytime, please, and ask questions. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Sage My Assistant. What is it? What's the best way to look at Sage My Assistant? In short, Sage My Assistant is a tool that will push information to you or to the appropriate person. The best way to look at My Assistant is really via Outlook. If you're like most folks, you spend a fair amount of time in your email, email being the primary business communication today. And so as such, you can see the different types of information that can be pushed to you. One of the real powers of My Assistant is the ability to search through the Sage database, filter information out, and like I said, push information out to you. So for example, you can have anything you want. Like in this case, if I'm going to go through some examples in my Outlook for you here. Here's an example of something as simple as cost codes over budget. You could monitor your insurance in Sage. Any piece of information in Sage can be monitored. You can say, you know what, tell me when vendors are going to have expired insurance or insurance in the next 30 days, and then send someone a list. A list of change requests. Now, this is one of the common ways you can get information out of My Assistant in a little HTML table that looks like this. I'm going to show you how you actually define what's in this table, how you actually can really easy just drag information from this database into a little report like this that shows up in your email. Another common use of My Assistant is the distribution of reports. You can send any report on a Sage menu. So for example, this is a simple cost report that was done. This is actually a canned report out of the Sage Job Cost system. If you have custom reports, the reports could have been designed using the Sage Report Designer or using Crystal Reports. It doesn't matter. Any report that's on a menu in Sage, you can generate and send via My Assistant. Now, one of the things that's really powerful in sending these reports is you actually can filter the reports as they're sent. So you can filter, you can say send each project manager just their reports, or each property manager, or each division manager just their reports. A common use of My Assistant is the whole area of sending out pay statements. So this is an example where someone received a direct deposit pay notice. So if your employees are being paid via direct deposit electronically, you need to inform the employee that what their payroll was, and you can send each employee a pay statement. The statement can be secured, password secured, and like I said, each report can be filtered for the recipient. And this is an example where each employee just receives their pay statement. That's a very, very common use of My Assistant. I really, as I go through this, encourage you to kind of let your imagination go. It's kind of fun for us to hear all the different ways customers are using My Assistant. Here's an example of AR invoices that are past due. Or if you're using the Sage Project Management, you actually can generate logs out of the system, and you can generate them in an Excel format. So in addition to sending things in the body of the email or sending things as an attached report in a PDF, you also can generate spreadsheets. And these spreadsheets, like everything else in My Assistant, can be filtered for the recipient. So you can say send each project manager their RFI log, or send each project manager a forecast worksheet, and it will come in an Excel spreadsheet. It's a live spreadsheet, you know, just so on and so forth, and it has the current information at the time that My Assistant task runs and sends. So that's another type of format that you can get out of My Assistant, you know, with Sage information in it. Another really common example of My Assistant is paying vendors. You can come in and let me try and find one here. And if you're paying vendors electronically, you can send them a notice as to what you paid them for. And this is an example of that. This is a pre-built report, or what we call them tasks in My Assistant, that's out there. So this is an example here of that. So like I said, really let your imagination go on the types of information that you may want to monitor in Sage and be pushed to your users. For example, here's a work in process spreadsheet. This is a pre-built report that comes with My Assistant, and it's a, like I said, live spreadsheet. So if somebody was to come in here and start putting in, you know, earned percentages and so forth, it would calculate, you know, over/under amounts and so forth for you. So and this comes pre-canned with the My Assistant software. Another example, I don't have an example to show you, I just actually worked with a client yesterday on, is they're sending out service invoices. Working with a client in Minneapolis that's sending out service invoices. One last area to kind of think of, and that is your employee any kind of setup. In My Assistant, you can monitor your setup, and so you can come in and say, you know, if somebody set a job up and they forgot to set a piece of information in, if somebody set an employee up and they forgot to set a piece of information in, My Assistant can monitor any type of setup for you in the system and notify you if somebody set something up wrong, or if something set something up new, like something setting up a new job or a new employee or what have you. And these here again can be all automatic. They can be based on a schedule here in your My Assistant software. So this is the My Assistant software. But let me kind of show you how this works. So My Assistant comes with a bunch of what we call pre-built tasks. That's what you're seeing on the screen here. And these tasks were based on feedback from Sage 300 customers. Version 1.0 My Assistant had 0 of these. Right now we ship with about 300 of these pre-built. I tend to use the search quite a bit. So if I want to find something pertaining to insurance, I can just kind of type in, you know, insurance, and it'll search through the list here and find me various insurance tasks. Let's say I want to use, this one right here. I want to say vendors. Let's use the expiring insurance. So let's just use workers' comp insurance. What I can do is I can come in and activate that task. Okay, so I'm going to activate it. And it comes up, it's a wizard. It comes up and says, okay, you want vendors expiring in how many days out? Well, tell me if they're within 30 days or 45 days or what have you of today. When do you want this checked? I can run this each day, each week, each month, certain days of the week, certain, we have people actually, some people running tasks every 15 minutes. So I can schedule this to run this whenever I want, and then it'll just sit on your server. It will run, and then when it finds something, it will send you or someone an email. I can either email it to a person, or I can email it to something called an email directory. The email I'm looking at is this email right here. And if I want to control what's in the body of that email, down here at the bottom, this is your Sage database. And we've done all the database relations. You don't need to really understand the database. We've done all the database relationships for you. And in here, I can go in and let's say I want another contact. Let's say I want contact 2. Let me make this one a little bigger here. And so I want contact 2 off the vendor record. So I just drag this in here, and there's contact 2. So now when this sends to this person, it's going to have that information. So customizing these reports is a matter of just kind of dragging and dropping right here into this table right here. So that's it. A couple more options here in setup, and I say done. I run it. It's now activated, and in this case, it just found 33 vendors with workers' comp insurance that's going to expire in the next 30 days. Now, the data set I'm working on is quite old. It's the sample data. But hopefully you get the idea. So activating the tasks, we tried to make rather simple as far as setting up tasks and so forth. Likewise, so let's say if I want to go in and I want to send a report to someone. I'm going to try and wait to get that email. When I want to send a report to someone, I could come in. Guess what? We have a pre-built task around sending a report. Actually, I'm going to start a brand new task for you to show you what setting up a new task is like. So you can use any of the pre-built tasks, or you also can set up your own. And so if I go in here and I say new, and let's say I want to do something like send Dennis his reports, okay? And you can call it whatever you want here. The condition is quite powerful. Think of the condition like when you guys do a report in Sage, you have that little condition button where you can filter, or ranges button where you can filter a report. Same concept, only much, much more powerful. And there's literally hundreds, about 400 plus conditions pre-built in here for you, all over the board. Everything from, change orders been denied. I mean, you almost can think of any kind of part of your Sage software, there's most likely a pre-built condition for you. Here again, we put search throughout the system, so I'm going to just say something like send a report, and I'm just going to grab that condition. I'm not going to schedule this guy, but now I can come in here and I can grab a Crystal report, I can grab a Sage report, I can just spreadsheet template, a Word document. I'm going to go in and grab just a report out of the Sage system, and this is my all my reports on my menus. So you're going to see your report menus. If you've customized your report menus, we're going to see your report menus, and they'll be here on the screen for you. For example, this might be some customized reports or what have you. So I come in here, I can grab a report. I'm just going to grab a job cost report. It's going to come up and ask me what I want to name the PDF file. It's going to ask me how I want to fill in the prompt fields. And then when I do that, I'm done with the report. So let's say I want to call it Dennis's report. I can type better. I can password protect the report if I want. You can use a Sage field. So for example, for payroll pay statements, you may want to password protect it with the last 4 digits of a social, or I think the number in Canada. I put what is in Canada, but another number you can use for each employee.
SIN, S-I-N, social insurance.
SIN. Thank you. The SIN. I should have known that. I'm sorry. The report date, and then do you want to close jobs? That's it. I can indicate who I want to go to here, and now this report will automatically be ran and sent. I'll just finish this out here. Either on a schedule or not, and people will receive reports in their inbox like we did right here. Like for example, each project manager, and there's your report. Here again, any report on a menu, Crystal report, report design a report, and can be filtered by recipients. So it can be filtered by project manager, customer, vendor, what have you. Hopefully you folks are kind of getting the idea here. Like I said, I really encourage folks to kind of let your imagination run and think of the things either that take a lot of time, printing, stuffing envelopes, sending individual reports out to people, or things that tend to fall through the cracks. I was working with a client yesterday. They wanted to be told when they have a change order that's approved and someone doesn't write the associated commitment change orders or vendor change orders. They can be told about that, or you can be told about, well, I don't know. Does anyone have an example?
Dennis?
Sometimes, Go ahead.
Most of the examples you've been focusing on are internal within an organization. Do you want to elaborate on how this might be used to communicate with your business partners or customers?
Sure. So an example of that would be, let's start on the vendor side for insurance. Number one, electronic pay statement. So paying your vendors. You might want to come in and pay vendors and say, telling your vendors, oops, let me go back to that report, what they just got paid for. That's one example. And we see quite a few firms actually, your customers, Patrick, doing that. Another would be the ability to send out letters. I'm going to try and find a letter in here. We have the ability to send out letters from the system. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry, I kind of messed up my outlook here. One second, folks. Let me find you a couple examples of some letters. Yeah, here's an example right here. This came out of My Assistant. This is a pre-built letter. You can do mail merge with My Assistant. And so, see, dear A1 Electric, based on our records, and this data can be what have you. In this case, it's insurance information. This could be receivables information going to a customer instead of a vendor. But you can do mail merge out of My Assistant and send letters to customers, to vendors, to service sites. If anyone is doing service, we have many customers that will do things like when a work order comes in, let the service site know who was assigned to the work order, or what date that tech is supposed to be, when the work order got scheduled for, or reminder. I don't know if you guys ever get electronic reminders, even things from like the doctors or dentists. You can do electronic reminders that so-and-so is going to be out today to do something on their site from a work order. You can do that with a mail merge capability here in My Assistant. Another example might be AR past due invoices. You can send letters to customers informing them of any sort of past due invoices that has come out.
So from an AR standpoint, you could create a notification that would be, go and scan the database for anybody who owes you money that's greater than 45 days, and organize a notification to go out to those customers with a copy of their unique statement?
That's correct. Yep, that's correct. You can also send AR statements. That's a really good example, is you can do that. And anybody who's past due, send them a statement, a little letter attached, and do that as well. This is an example of it in the body of the email, but I could have included a statement on here and right here, and it could list either invoices here. It could be just a letter in the body of the email with an attached statement, what have you. So that's another example you can do. Do you have another suggestion, Patrick? Do you run across with your clients?
The AR management. So if they're going to be doing their collections on their collection calls next Tuesday, that what they want to do is they want to run that task and send a statement. You could send unique invoices to them as well, so they have everything. So when you call them, they can't say they didn't have a copy of that invoice.
Right. Right.
Certainly, You know, the EFT remittances, we have a lot of our clients transitioning and automating that process. So they go and they do their upload to the bank, and then they, you know, they go, maybe if you want to feature the tile on your desktop. So you've been working from Outlook, but a lot of, you know, when you use My Assistant, you can have a tile that this is a, how do you describe this license? Standard license, not the designer license?
Yeah, it's a license for your normal users in your company. So what we find is the power user uses the designer piece I've been showing you here, the My Assistant Designer up here on top. But just the day-to-day users, what they can do is they can have this live tile sitting on their desktop. They don't have to be in Sage. And if they want to look information up, this will list out the things that they've been notified of. And at any point in time, they can just click on this and say, let me see a list here. Now, the beauty is it's live, and if I want to refresh the data, I can refresh the data. I can just kind of say run here, and it's going to refresh the data, make sure I've got all the the most current information here.
And you can bring it out to Excel.
Yeah, right from here I can open an Excel, save to an Excel file, drop in a PDF. I can do a variety of things with it. If in this I want to see all my notifications, I just click to say show all, and now I can see everything here. And also what's really powerful here in the live tiles, I can say arrange this by job or by vendor, and it'll resort all of these by job or vendor, and then I see the issues inside of each job that are outstanding. And so so I can look at this different ways, see everything pertaining to a vendor. Here we are. So it's becoming more and more popular in that it just provides very quick access to information. The other thing you can do with the live tile is you can say things like, okay, I want to check for this. I want to check, did we get, that payment in? Did we get, that's another example that people use. When someone pays, they inform everybody, okay, we received payment from this customer, or informs a project manager. Or did we get that change order approved, or what have you? I can do a check for right here. It's going to run against my stuff and show me what's outstanding stuff for that item right here. So it's a really quick way to check for something in Sage. And here again, this is also
what about
user specific.
If we look at security, Dennis, you've got unlimited access here, but your security will follow you. So if you don't have access to that job or that application, you're not going to get detail that isn't,
That's correct. That's correct. You're only going to see the things that you've been told about. You're only going to, it's only, for example, if I've never been told about insurance, this won't even show up on the list here for me. And it's all based on your Windows logon. It's all based on your Windows user ID. So there's no additional logon to do. There's no additional password to remember. It's all tied to your Windows logon. And if you log on to this machine versus another machine, it will follow you.
So the check for will grow over time. Is that correct? So if you're receiving notifications, so that someone goes into the designer and they say, oh, send this to Dennis, and then that will build out these lists that come on your tile that then you can go and drive data to. Is that correct?
That's correct. Exactly right. Yeah.
Okay.
And
so, no, go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead, Patrick.
I was going to say, do you want to? So you've talked about how we can deliver data internally to team members or externally to our business partners. What about the to-do and the workflow capabilities within the system?
Okay, great. What you can do is you can set these tasks to run at the completion of a process in Sage. Okay, so let's say for example, you want to send out labor reports after payroll's been posted. So I'm going to go grab that task I set up, the one that said send project managers their reports. And I'm going to open this guy up. And the way it works is you can come in here in the schedule, and you can schedule this to run at the completion of a process. So in other words, I come in here and say, okay, when payroll is posted, payroll is posted, whatever the process is here. These are all your processes in Sage. And so if I post payroll, post checks, when that happens, what happens is the person gets prompted. Okay, the person gets prompted down here in the bottom in the system tray. There's this little thing that runs right here. See this My System Alerts? I don't know if you can see it in the system tray. Yep. What happens is you're going to get prompted, and it'll say, hey, you need to send out, it's a reminder, you need to send out labor reports. We saw you just posted payroll. You want to send out labor reports. Do you want to do that right now? And when you do, it comes up and it prompts you on the screen. If you don't see it, it goes into your to-do list. And in your to-do list, you'll say, send out labor reports. And so it's a reminder to do things or follow up on things tied into your Sage software. So let's say, for example, you just set up a new job or a new customer or a new vendor or really did anything in Sage, and there's another step to do. My system come up and says, hey, you need to ask for this information about the job. You want to do that now? And you can just say, it'll list here on the screen, and you can say, yes, do it, and my assistant will go ahead and do it. We'll go ahead and ask, send an email to ask that information or send someone that report or what have you. So it's really ties into your Sage workflow and allows you to, kind of helps you to move things along and communicate as you work in the Sage software. And what we put.
So again, I might go and I might process payroll and post my time over to job cost, and that could drive a task for another individual within the team to go and send out some reports.
Right. So it's just an integrated tool into Sage to allow you to kind of remind you just did something in Sage. There's something else that you need to do. Send out a report or ask for. And what we find is people ask for information. A lot of people use it in setup, and they ask for information and say, I noticed in the job you didn't set up this, or do you want to check the job for these sorts of things? I tell you, it's a nice tool that if you ever have turnover in your office, you've got some of your procedures and so forth built into My Assistant as far as, okay, when we set up a customer, we do these things. When we set up a vendor, we do these things. When we set up a contract, a service side, a property, what have you. You actually can build those checks and so forth into the My Assistant software, and then when those things happen, My Assistant can recognize that a new job was set up or a new customer or new anything, and then it can do those checks for you. So really just it's automation, right? It's just automating those little tiny things, or sometimes not so tiny, that fall through the cracks. Any questions?
Any questions to the group, or is there any? Do you see? Is there any examples you'd like Dennis to sort of explore based on what you've seen of the tool so far, or things that you're doing manually that could be automated? Anyone? Anyone? Fair?
Anyone? Yeah. No. So it's been so Patrick, we're just shy of about 2,000 Sage CRE clients that's using this tool. It's funny how people start. They start with just many times one example or two examples. It may be payroll pay statements, EFT statements, distributing reports. And then when they begin using it, it's really fun for us. Their imaginations just go crazy, and we see people just all over the board using it, just all over the board. And I would say probably on average 10, 15 tasks that we see people use. So hopefully this gave you some idea. Go ahead, Patrick.
I think a lot of people in our client database they often look to one of the big wins for them is the distribution of pay stubs, something they're manually doing today. The AP remittances. Again, those can provide a return on the initial investment alone in a standalone environment.
Yeah. Well, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to.
What about my communicator? Did you want to go into that, Dennis, and maybe provide us with a high-level overview?
The box I jumped on, I don't think it has it, Patrick.
Okay, no problem.
I apologize. Yeah, so I apologize for that. I got put on a machine this morning that didn't have it installed. Basically, in short, what my communicator is, folks, and I think there's a video out there I can send you. Is when you open this up, it's actually a live grid, and you actually can forward individual items and assign follow-ups to individual things in your Outlook system, set up meetings around Sage data. It really makes your Outlook, allows you to interact with live Sage data in Outlook. Is what it allows you to do.
Okay.
So.
Well, excellent. Are there any questions about anything from any of the attendees on what we've covered today? We don't need to take up any more of your time. If I think that was a great overview. Okay. Well, excellent. Well, thank you very much, Dennis. I really appreciate your support today. Great presentation. And if you want to forward over that My Communicator video link, that'd be great. I'll distribute it to those that attended.
Okay. I'll look for that and get it over to you.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, everyone, for your time.